Welcome back to AutOdometer, and today we are on step 2 for fixing the air conditioning in my Chevy Lumina. And step 2 includes using a UV dye refrigerant. It's the R134A. It has a UV dye in it as well as some stop leak. So it's as simple as just charging it up with AC Pro. Make sure your car is turned on, your blower's at the max setting, and the speed is at the highest it can go. And just for reference here, we're going to take a look at the temperature. When we put it in, it's about 100 degrees, and inside the car, it goes to over 110 degrees Fahrenheit. It's definitely time to see if we can fix my AC. You also want to make sure your AC compressor clutch is engaged, as it was. First, you want to find your AC pressure, low pressure port. That's where you add your refrigerant with the UV dye. You found that port back in step 1. You want to connect your tube here. Before you can attach the can, it's probably easier to just attach the tube, and so you're not fooling with the can in the meantime. So you can detach the tube from the can. Then once you get the tube attached to the can, go ahead and start discharging some, and I stopped here just to show you that you're going to start to see some green or yellow, whatever it looks like for you. The refrigerant dye is now going into the system and finding any of the leaks. You might want to take the can and shake it a little bit. You might want to turn it if you have room for it in your vehicle. Now in this Chevy Lumina, the low pressure port where you add the refrigerant is kind of in a difficult place where you can't really do that. So all in all, it's probably going to take about 5 to 10 minutes to be able to discharge all of the refrigerant from the can. If you're lucky, like I was on my BMW, I put this leak dye stuff in my BMW E36 and it actually stopped the leak, and the AC has worked for a matter of months now. But however, in my Chevy Lumina, the AC stopped working within 24 hours, so we had a pretty significant leak. We're going to check that leak here with this black light and the yellow glasses. Before we get started checking the leak, I'm just looking at different situations here in my car. We have this AC pressure lines going to the compressor. We have a couple fitment things that we want to look at where all of the AC lines come together. We want to check these things in particular, anywhere that we could have a gasket that could have failed. Now the R134A does have some oil in it, which is supposed to lubricate the gaskets. I've actually been told that you should turn your AC on in the winter just to get some of that oil lubricating the gaskets so they don't dry out. After dark here, we have to take a look at some of the leak spots here, and it's kind of hard to tell with a bright white light on. So what we're going to do here is switch over to the black light and turn the white light off. We come to the high and low pressure ports, and we're definitely going to see some UV dye just because this is where we were adding the refrigerant in the first place. So it's going to be kind of hard to tell if a leak is actually coming from this spot. A little trick that I've seen before is someone took a balloon, put it over top either the high or low pressure port, and turned the system on, and if the balloon started to fill, then there was a little leak there. However, sometimes the dust cap can prevent a small leak. Next, we come to the AC dryer, and we can tell that there definitely is no leak there. There's not even a speck of any UV dye anywhere. And we come along across the AC lines, look at some of the fitments, then we take a look at the compressor and the compressor fitment and see that there's no significant leak whatsoever. We can see a tiny little bit in the middle of the upper part of the compressor. We take a look at the shaft of the compressor and then the lower part of the compressor, and we can see that there's quite a significant leak on the lower part of the compressor. It's safe to say that the leak is probably coming from the gasket in the middle of the compressor, since we didn't really see any other significant leak coming anywhere in the system. Just want to make sure, check all areas, check all fitments, check all main components of the air conditioning system. If you'd like to check out all the different components of the air conditioning system, head over to my website at AutOdometer.com and go to the interactive section. You also want to check the firewall fitment, make sure that there's no leaking coming from here. And we can see that there definitely is no leaking in my Chevy Lumina. So now that we have identified the leak at the compressor gasket, we want to make sure that we can fix it. Well, let's go back to our steps. Step 1, we diagnosed the problem, and we saw that we had a significantly low refrigerant. Step 2, we found the leak. And step 3, we have to evacuate the system, remove any remaining refrigerant that's in the system, and then once we do that, we can take off the compressor and replace the gasket. And that wraps up step 2 of fixing my air conditioning in my Chevy Lumina. Step 3, I hope you stick around for it and subscribe. We are going to be evacuating any remaining refrigerant in my Chevy Lumina. Now this can get kind of dangerous, so I'm probably not going to attempt this myself. I'll probably take it to a shop and pay them and have them evacuate any of the remaining refrigerant. Definitely don't want to fool around with something that can be poisonous. I hope you stick around for steps 3, 4, and 5. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification, drop a like on the video, and thanks for watching.